Good afternoon and welcome once again to another one of the Mosaic's WealthTech Talks. My name is Stephen Wall, co-founder of the Mosaic and sort of head of our marketplace and content side. I'm joined today by Tessa Lee, Managing Director of MoneyInfo. Hi, Tess. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
So we're going to talk through the client portal today and how not all client portals are created equal. Tess has obviously had great experience of this as leading the MoneyInfo business, selling into wealth managers, private banks, DFMs, financial advisors, and potentially some other types of wealth manager in the UK market. So we will hand over to Tess shortly, who will do a demo of all the latest and greatest applications from the firm and how it can support wealth managers with their different needs in terms of client engagement, client management and other elements. And then we'll have a discussion on what we've seen happening in terms of technology development in the UK market, needs of the market, obviously with a bit of a focus on what's happened under the COVID environment, what that's meant, how firms have reacted, and then I think a little bit of a view into the future. So considering what the requirements and trends in the market will mean for how we will have more of a hybrid advisory technology focused wealth management market moving forward. So Tess, thank you for joining us. I'll hand over to you now to run through your demo, and then we'll come back for some questions once you're done.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Stephen. And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. And thank you very much for joining us. I'm just going to share my screen because I just wanted to give a little bit of an introduction about MoneyInfo before we jump into a live demo. So despite my youthful appearance, I've spent around about 20 years working in technology and the last 10 years or so with a real focus on helping financial advisors, wealth managers and DFMs use client-facing technology to share information with and communicate more easily with their clients. A little bit about MoneyInfo. It's a secure, branded client portal, allowing you to bring together all of your clients' financial life in one place, including all of the associated documentation, third-party personal finance accounts and open banking, all under a single login available on any device across any platform, and also integrated with the many different technologies, investment platforms, back office or portfolio management systems that you might be using. You can see some examples scrolling through on the screen here of our apps. It's all, as you can see, delivered under the brand of the wealth management firm. And most importantly, it's delivered as well as on the desktop, it's delivered as an app for Android and iPhone as well. And I'm sure that, like me, you all recognise that technology has really changed and shaped the way that we do things. It has changed the way that we communicate with each other and that we interact with each other, and it's made our lives so much easier in many, many ways. And over recent months, thank goodness, we've had access to technology. So today, what I wanted to share with you is how wealth management businesses like yours are using technology like MoneyInfo to support and automate their business processes, their reporting, their service approach, to communicate more securely with their clients, and most importantly, to deliver a really fantastic client experience. I'm going to show you what your client gets, but also how important it is for you to have a good administration portal, both for yourselves within your business, but also perhaps for any third parties or introducing advisors that you might be working with, to ensure that you can operate your client-facing technology and your business and your processes and your services really easily and efficiently. So without further ado, I'm going to swap over into live demo. So just bear with me while I click the right screen. So I'm using an emulator in my browser here to show you how MoneyInfo looks on the mobile. So imagine that I'm a client of a wealth management firm. I've received a push notification from my wealth manager on their app, and I've logged in because they've sent me a secure message or perhaps an activity I need to review. So first of all, you can see I've got this activities pod on my dashboard here, and it's telling me that I've got some actions that my wealth manager would like me to have a look at. So I'm going to show you an example here of an agreement that my wealth manager sent me. They're asking me to review their client agreement, which I can do directly through the app here. You can see it's got their discretionary client agreement in this scenario. I can review the agreement on screen and then accept that agreement and confirm back to the wealth manager that I'm happy with the terms that they've put in front front of me. So a really easy way for my wealth manager to communicate with me, to get me to sign up to their terms. It's all audited when I've read the agreement and when I've signed it, and there's no need for them to send me out any paperwork and get a wet signature. We've also got other types of secure messaging here that I'll come on to in a little while. So one of the things I've done on my app here today is I've asked my advisor if I can withdraw some funds from my investment account. And because it's within the secure portal, it's audited, and my wealth manager can take that as an instruction from me. And it means I'm moving those communications away from the insecurity of email. Back at the beginning of lockdown, around about February and March, between February and March, we saw probably just over a 1,500% increase in the number of secure messages that were being sent through MoneyInfo. The number of review documents, portfolio reports, ID verification documents, and other documents being shared between wealth managers and their clients continues to rise rapidly. It's speeding up onboarding processes, client reviews, quarterly reporting processes, for example. There will, of course, be some times when you may need to get a signature from your client for certain things, and we are seeing the use of our DocuSign e-signature integration also continuing to increase month on month. So I'll show you a quick example of that here. So here I've got a request from my wealth manager to sign a application form to open up my discretionary investment account. You can see they've sent me a secure message with a simple link that I can click to sign. And at this point, it will take me across into DocuSign, where I can review and sign that document. So I will accept to use e-signatures. You can see it pops up the form that my wealth manager's created as a template within their DocuSign account. It's pre-populated with some of my information. I can fill in other details, and then I can simply click to sign. I can give it a squiggle, or I can select a signature style here, adopt and sign that, and finish the document, at which point it will take me back into my wealth manager's app. So in seconds, I've signed that document. So transactions that can take days to get to the client via post, wet signatures, they can take a long time to get responded to. You need to chase them. I've done that very simply through my wealth manager's app there. And as you'll see a little later on, my wealth manager gets a notification to say that I've signed it and gets a full audit of that signature request and the relevant information that they might need to use internally or to pass on elsewhere. So you can see how secure communications through an app like this can really start to speed up some processes and make it a better experience for your clients. They're no longer getting piles of paperwork stacking up on that sideboard, or worse still, information sent through email, which we know is not secure. Let's have a quick look at what else my Wealth Manager's app can do to me as well. You can see on the dashboard here, I've got a view of the things that MoneyInfo is bringing together for me across the different accounts they have. I can see my managed portfolio here. I can get a breakdown of the split of the portfolio between the different asset types, and I can drill in to see more information there. So I can see the different types of asset I might have. I can drill into the tax wrappers. I've got information about the asset allocation. I've got a history of its value changing over time. I can drill into the holdings within that and also the transactions too. So it gives me all of the information that typically I might have received on a paper valuation report right there on my smartphone, so that I have access to that whenever I need it. As well as being able to see the information and assets that my wealth manager looks after for me, if they choose to, wealth managers can open up wider aggregation to their clients as well. So here, for example, I can see a net worth statement across everything that I owe and everything that I own. I can see that for myself, or perhaps I want to view my overall family holdings, so I can get that total family balance sheet. And this is where I can choose to add on my own property, which is tracked by land registry data, so I get its valuation over time. I can add also my own held away accounts I might have elsewhere, and that will aggregate them all within MoneyInfo for me, keeping them updated on a daily basis. And alongside that, I can also add open banking information on here. So we connect to the open banking network to enable clients to put their current accounts, their savings accounts, deposits accounts on here, and get a view over those accounts from an income and spending perspective. Of course, that's also valuable if you're working on an advised basis with clients, because income and expenditure is obviously one of the most tricky parts of the fact find to perhaps collect accuracy. It's still early days, I would say, for the rollout of open banking across the industry. It will, of course, mature over time, and we'll see deeper coverage across different accounts and banks and building societies and other institutions. Right now, a lot of our wealth management firms tend to use open banking as perhaps a more tactical solution for clients who would benefit from a perhaps closer analysis of their income and spending. There are lots of other things you can do within the app. So I've got some examples of custom content in here. I can book an appointment with my wealth manager via my app. You can integrate your own appointment booking applications you might be using, like Calendly or Timely, so that I can straight through here choose a date and time to meet with my relationship manager, my wealth manager, and that gets confirmed straight back to them. It can also set up, as you can see here, the web conferencing details, so I can conduct a video call with my client. And then you can also bring in your own custom content as well. We see lots of advice firms delivering video content to their clients, perhaps investment commentary, blogs, newsletters, and other types of content for different types of clients. So that gives you a view, a kind of whistle-stop tour of the client experience, but it's also important how easy it is for you to administer and look after all of this. One thing technology is really good at is automating processes, helping you deliver actions on a bulk basis to save time and money. And for this, you need a really good administration portal, which can often be a little bit overlooked. It's very easy to get dazzled by the kind of front-end technology, but it's really important that the back end of the administration portal works well for you, for your relationship managers, for your client managers, investment managers, advisors, administration staff, or even third parties that you might be working with too. So let's have a quick look at the manager side of this. I'm going to flip across now into MoneyInfo Manager, which is the administration application that's used for our clients to administer their client portal and to work with lots of the different service and business processes that they have. I'm logged in here to MoneyInfo Manager. You can see this is branded up as MoneyInfo, but for those of our clients, particularly our DFMs who are offering access to perhaps third-party introducing advisors or tax accountants, they can also have this branded as well for their firm. So you're effectively logging into the DFM's advisor portal, if you like. So I'm securely logged in. Again, all the security as you would expect when this is holding so much information about your clients, from two-factor authentication, IP whitelisting, is all available through here too. So let's show you how easy it is to perform some of those activities that we saw from the client's perspective as a relationship or a client manager. So I'm going to go to my client list and I'm going to search for a client first of all. So let's pick the client I was logged in as earlier. So this is the Prosperous family. I was logged in as Tess Prosperous. And here I've got this action menu, which allows me to do lots of different things to help manage this client. Most importantly, I can visit the client. So that loads up their account. I can see what the client sees. I can see their portfolio. I can see all the details within here, as you can see. And also we do allow clients, when they're adding their own information, to set their own privacy controls as well. That's really important from a GDPR perspective, so that clients can decide how much of their own information that they're adding they want to share with you. As well as being able to visit the client, let's see how I can perform some of those actions. So I'm going to have a look at the secure messages that I've got with Tess Prosperous here. So let's view her messages, and you can see the request that I made earlier, the client made earlier, about making a withdrawal from their account. So I'm going to do a quick reply to that. I can type in my reply just as normal, but I'm going to use a template for this because I've got one set up. And here you can see I've got the acknowledgement of the withdrawal request template that I've set up for this very purpose that I'm going to send to the client. I can customize it. So I'm just going to put the £5,000 in there, and then I can send that straight across to my client. Secure messaging templates are really, really valuable for our firms because they are enabling them to not keep copy and pasting, sending emails out, doing the same tasks over and over again, but to create templates for different business processes and allow them to really quickly perform those within the portal or from their smartphone, as you'll see later on. So templates like this save you massive amounts of time on repetitive tasks. We also saw an example earlier where a client was asked to review and approve a document. Didn't require a signature, but it required auditing through the firm to know that the client has confirmed and accepted whatever it is that the wealth manager wants them to deal with. So this time I'm going to do that on a bulk basis. We saw an individual client doing a client agreement, but I'm going to show you an example here. Perhaps if you're working with clients on an advised basis, I'm going to show you how in this example you could do a portfolio rebalance exercise. So I've got just 5 clients in this particular service group for my balance strategy. You might have many, many more, of course, but this will show you how it works. And I'm going to create a bulk action here to run a quick workflow for these clients. I've got a number of workflows set up in here. This one I'm going to do is a portfolio rebalance. So I'm going to pick up my portfolio rebalance report that's going out for that particular portfolio to those selected clients, and I'm just going to confirm that now. That has sent out the report to all of the clients within that particular service group. They'll all receive a push notification on their advisor's app telling them to log in. They can log in, review my recommendation to rebalance that particular portfolio, and they can approve that. And most importantly, through the management app, I can then see the details of those approvals coming through, so I can find the completed portfolio balancing requests, and then I can obviously take that action and move that forward through the process from here. So it's all audited within the MoneyInfo Manager application. So a really quick way of doing a simple exercise to rebalance that portfolio. Finally, let's just see one more process, and that's to look at how you might ask for a signature from one of your clients. So I'm going to go back and find the client I was looking at earlier. And this time, rather than just do a workflow or send a secure message, I'm going to request a signature from my client. So if I go to the action button again, you can see I can request a signature here. And the example we looked at was a new client application form. So I've got a number of templates set up here that have come through from DocuSign, one of which is my new client application form. I can send the message to my clients. I can ask them whatever I want to. So I'll just keep it simple so you don't have to watch me typing. Put the signature link in, and then create that signature request. That will go off to the client. They will get a push notification on the app, as you saw earlier, and they can very easily, through the app, go in and sign that signature request. Once that comes in, what you'll see is all of those are audited through MoneyInfo, so you can see the one that I've sent here to the client, and you can also see the ones that have been completed. Most importantly, I've got a full audit of that signature request, and I'm able to download the documents and the certificate of completion for that signature request to use either internally, or perhaps if I need to pass that on to a third-party platform or other company to receive that signature. So it gives you all the things that you need from a legal and from an audit perspective to monitor and manage those e-signatures. I also wanted briefly, before I just touch on some of the management information and analytics that you also get out of your portal on reporting. This is a big challenge for firms, having to do regular automated reporting processes for their clients. It's very paper-based, it's very time-consuming, and it's a key challenge that we've seen firms perhaps struggling with even more so during recent times. So what MoneyInfo allows you to do is automate that process so that your app will pick up a whole collection of reports from a secure location, process them and allocate them to the correct client records, posting them in their quarterly valuations folder within the documents area so they know exactly where to find it, sending them a push notification when they receive the document, but most importantly, giving you a view over which clients have viewed and read that document within the MI here. So I'll just download some document viewing figures. And you can see if I open this up, that it gives me details of all of the clients and the documents that they've had, where it was uploaded to within their documents area, and most importantly, when that client has accessed the documents. This gives you a really easy way to understand where you might need to send out either a notification or a secure message to a client to remind them that you've sent them a quarterly report that you want them to view. So a really good way of automating what can be a very costly and time-consuming process. And as you can see here from the MI, You've also got lots of information about the activity that's going on your portal, who's logging in, how often, what they're doing, the book value that you've got with your clients, how many have downloaded your app and the devices that they're using, which helps you from a management perspective and also from an ongoing kind of supports perspective to understand what's working and what's not, and how you can then use that to roll out the portal to your clients and work with adoption. And finally, it's worth touching on third-party access as well. So one of the challenges as well for firms, particularly around reporting, has been the requirement to distribute lots of reports, particularly for DFMs, to their third-party introducing advisors or tax accountants, SIP administrators. MoneyInfo's organisation area allows you to create lots of different teams for your third-party introducers and then set up security groups to determine what access those third-party introducers have when they log into the portal. So as an advisor of Friday Financial Services here, I can log into my wealth manager's advisor portal. I can view the clients that I have access to see, and I can also export a set of quarterly reports that my DFM has delivered to those clients for my own purposes and store them away from a compliance perspective. So third-party access is something that we're seeing really good take-up of in terms of helping particularly our DFM clients who have introducing parties working with them to give them access to the information that's relevant to them as well. And finally, of course, as you would expect, MoneyInfo Manager is also available as a mobile app. And this is really valuable to those client-facing front of house staff, to wealth managers, to advisors, to relationship managers, investment managers. Because what we find is typically they just want to be able to do the things to support their clients. So to be able to see a list of all the clients that they have, that they're looking after, to be able to visit those client accounts and see their portfolio, to send them a message, to respond to messages, to use templates to do that, to speed up their actions, or to send them documentation, all via their smartphone. So making it really easy and uncomplicated for those advisors and wealth managers to also communicate with their clients without perhaps having to log into the complexities of a big back office or CRM solution. So to finish the demo and come back to Stephen in a second, then I'll just sum up, I guess, to say that technology has really already transformed the ways that we're working and communicating with our clients. And of course, the recent pandemic that we're in the middle of has accelerated that shift towards using digital tools to communicate with your clients. Now is really the time to embrace using technology for remote working. It brings greater efficiency and it obviously sets you up for the long term. It removes client communications away from email. It secures your business. It gets rid of paper processes. It automates things that are very time consuming and costly for you at the moment if you are doing them on a paper-based process, particularly things like MiFID reporting. And clients are now getting used to working with you remotely. They're unlikely to want to kind of return back to the old ways of doing things totally when we get to the other side of this, albeit they still will appreciate those face-to-face conversations that you're having with them. And I hope what I've shown you in the brief demo that I've given you is that technology doesn't have to detract from a high-touch, personalised service, which is what this industry offers to its clients and what they value. It really can support and enhance it. So I'm going to swap back to Stephen now. That's the end of my demo. Hopefully it's given you some food for thought. And I think, Stephen, we're going to have a chat now because we've got some questions that you'd like to talk about.
Indeed we do. Thank you, Tess. Very kind. That was good. Powerful stuff. Probably way too many questions off the back of that to run in the next.
Sorry, I tend to get a bit excited and want to show as much as I can. So hopefully it all made sense to everybody.
Perfect. Quickly for the audience, this session is being recorded, so all of the details you just saw there, if you want to come back to them, will be available post this live session, and we will you'll be able to access it on Bright Talk on our side and probably on MoneyInfo at a point in the near future. Tess, what is interesting is the evolution of the client portal, and the title of the presentation was "Not All Client Portals Are Equal." So I know this is an evolving area. Talking to other vendors, it's sometimes a frustration around how wealth managers engage with this stuff, because what you've got is really powerful, attractive, user-friendly. You can see all of the themes around client engagement, advisor enablement, all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. What's a typical client portal look like in the market? What's the market used to? If all portals are not created equal, what are they? What are their expectations?
I think Looking back, the client experience has been quite limited previously to more static portfolio information, delivered perhaps not very graphically, essentially repeating the kind of spreadsheet process or paper-based reporting on an online access for clients. It's been quite one way. It's been broadcasting information to clients rather than a two-way exchange and communication and supporting those communications. There's been a lack of engagement, I think, from clients because of that. And we, I guess, have always looked at this from the client perspective first and foremost, rather than trying to manage our clients from a CRM perspective. We've looked at it from that client experience perspective and worked backwards. And now, hopefully, as you've seen, we aren't equal because we've now got, there's a whole raft of information on there. It's very graphical. We're using video content. We've designed it to be mobile first. We've got apps for the app stores. So it's important for firms to have, you want your client to be able to go on the app store and download your app. So it's your brand, it's your experience, it's customized and personalized for how you do business. So I think that's what really sets us apart, is that mobile and app presence, but also how we have learned over the years of doing this, how advice and wealth management firms work and how important it is to look at the client experience, but also dovetail that experience into the processes that advice firms and wealth managers are doing across the industry to really support them. They are our users as much as clients are their users, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. We've just done some research in Switzerland about sort of marrying the advisor and client experience, and there has to be a level playing field. One can't be miles ahead of the other because it doesn't deliver on the model that many wealth managers want to provide. So we talked a little bit there about, you've got to make sure that it's right for the client, that it's built for the client, but it also meets the expectations and needs of the wealth management firm, whatever their model is. Still, the client portal, when you talk to firms in many instances, and you've obviously got great examples, but in some firms it's still not there. All of the messages make sense. You can get great business intelligence, practice management, compliance. You can engage with clients. You can enable advisors, all the stuff we know about those little soft terms. But what's the blocker? What stops wealth managers actually engaging more with this stuff than maybe they have done historically?
I think there's a number of things, I guess, that have stopped them. And I think it is changing, it is improving. And I think there is a realization and perhaps some firms being forced into implementing digital technology as well. But I think the barriers probably have been, obviously there's a money issue, there's a cost, and is, how much is it going to cost, and actually how much am I saving in cost, and how much more efficient will it make me? But I don't think that's the chief reason. I think in the past, a lot of firms have had bad experiences with technology, with implementing technology, and they get the snazzy demo and it's all brilliant, and then in real life when they try and implement and get it adopted, it's very challenging. It's more challenging perhaps to look at adoption from client-facing technology as well. And maybe there's a little bit of reticence and fear about that, because it's getting you can quite easily get your staff to use your technology. You can mandate that this is the way that we do things internally. This is the technology you need to use. But it's difficult to force your clients to use technology. So you need to really understand it. It needs to be great client-facing technology. But we find, one of the things that we focus on very much as a business is our support and adoption model and how we help firms through that process, because they haven't necessarily been as successful at it in the past. That's our responsibility, to help firms with that and to make sure that we hold their hands through the process, because it isn't a case of build a portal, put it online and your clients will start logging in and using it. And we've learned a lot about adoption over the last 10 years and how to really get the great adoption that we're getting today. And that does change really when you start to bring in client communications. That's when adoption becomes quite easy, because it changes the way that you do business. You're delivering information through your portal, your documentation, your paperwork, your emails are all being replaced by more secure communications, and your clients, of course, will log in and use it. I also think there's been perhaps a misconception, particularly over recent years, that, the number of times I've heard people say, my clients won't use technology, my clients are all high net worth, my clients are all of an older generation, they won't use technology. For some, that will be true. There will always be some that don't want to use technology. But that's certainly not the case now for the majority. And it's changed even more so if we think about it over recent months, because, our grandparents, our mums and dads, our clients are all using technology all over the place, whether it's WhatsApp video messaging, FaceTiming, whether they're Zoom boomers or, whatever. They are using that technology because we've all had to. So now's a great time to kind of debunk that myth, take it away, and really start getting going with this stuff to help you now, but also shore up the business for the future.
Yeah, perfect. Before we go into sort of the COVID experience and the dynamic that has brought, if you look at the push-pull of why firms would engage with you and maybe other portal providers historically, what is their scenario? What are they trying to achieve when they come to you? Is it very focused on a certain thing, or is it very broad? Does it change by firm?
It varies. It does change by firm. I think typically today it's all about secure communications. It's all about that realization that, I can't be sending staff back into my office to produce reams of reports and post them out to clients. Clients don't want the paperwork either, because it just stacks up somewhere and it's not where they need it when they want to find it. So I think secure communications is absolutely key to firms. And that's obvious, isn't it, in terms of what's happened over recent months. Aggregation for some is also important. The ability to provide accurate information to clients, particularly since GDPR hit us, it's important that the information we put in front of our clients is accurate and up to date. So they're looking for services that can aggregate the data from the different sources of data they might be using, but also maintain and manage that data for them on an ongoing basis and make sure that the quality of that data is as good as it can be, which is something that we do for our firms. And then alongside that, there is the need to shore up the business for the future, which is all about, to some extent, looking at that intergenerational wealth transfer. Where the wealth is sitting now is not necessarily where it's going to be sitting in 5 or 10 years' time. So how do we connect with that new generation of clients that are going to be taking over that wealth, and how do we connect with them now so that when that does happen, they're already engaged with us, they're already used to our app and communicating with us, so that that's much easier. So lots of reasons why firms come to us, but broadly, secure communications, quality of data, and the ability to connect with a wider demographic of client for the future.
Yeah, perfect. I think, I'm not sure if I misheard, but I think you said a 1,500% jump in secure messaging activity on the platform. So what were they doing before? They were doing a lot of unsecure messaging, presumably, or what else?
They were doing paper-based stuff. They were doing email. We've put a lot of communications out about email, and that's something as well that's worth highlighting. And it is something I always say I bang on about quite a lot. But we have seen a huge increase in phishing attacks and cybersecurity attacks throughout this last 6 to 8 months, because the hackers are aware that we're being forced to go online. We've got to do more online. The surface attack's much bigger, and this is what is happening. And email is by far, all the stats are out there, the most likely way any business will get compromised. So the ability to get information away from email and put it online is so important, because it's in a secure portal. Your client needs secure login credentials, two-factor authentication, whatever it happens to be, to get in there, and it stops that risk for businesses. So we've seen a huge increase in that because of that, understanding, I think, of the cyber risks that firms face now, as well as the realization that we need to start doing things in a digital way, because it's what our clients expect. It's what we're all doing elsewhere, whether we're shopping online or ordering a takeaway, ordering a cab, communicating with our friends, sorting out our social stuff. It's where we're all at. So I think there's been a realization of that.
Great. So in addition to security, the COVID pandemic arrives, we're in lockdown, we can't meet clients. What other aspects did sort of drove conversations for you? What were wealth managers saying? Look, I'm now really in a pickle because I can't do X, Y, and Z. What kind of highlights or examples can you provide to us of what conversations you might have had?
I think one of the biggest issues, and I have mentioned this, was reporting. The industry and regulation has forced firms to do more regular reporting with their clients. So MiFID reporting, quarterly reports, tax packs, cost and charges, contract notes. There's a vast amount of regular bulk reporting that firms need to send out to their clients. And that's a big challenge, even more so during a lockdown when you don't really want your staff to be going to and from the office, but sometimes you have to send them in there because you've got packs of reports that send out that need, posting and sorting. And then you've got to find out whether they got there and have the clients read them and, all that kind of stuff. So that's a really good example where firms have come to us because they want to solve that problem. They want to automate, and a process that it's taking firms weeks sometimes to get their quarterly reports out. And then we see through MoneyInfo, 3,000 reports are out within less than 10 minutes. They load them up to a secure location, and MoneyInfo, they don't have to do anything. MoneyInfo does the rest. And, less than 10 minutes later, the clients have got their reports, they've had a push notification, and the firm's got an audit of who's opened those reports. So huge time saving. One of our case study firms has taken 35% of the cost away from their business by going paperless through their portal. It's an obvious thing, but it's worth mentioning because that's one of the key challenges that we're certainly seeing from wealth managers.
Did you see a similar sort of increase in interest with things like MiFID when, the 10% depreciation reporting requirement and things like that? And I've heard some horror stories about that. You mentioned 2 weeks of number crunching to get reports out manually and through paper-based processes is a bit of a nightmare, as well as for anyone who has to do it, as well as a cost.
Yeah.
Anything else around MiFID or?
Yeah, so we do see some firms using the portal to deliver their 10% drop notifications. And what's nice about that is how you can obviously automate the delivery of that, because they'll have the notification and they'll push that through as a document through the portal. Client gets same experience as they do with any other document push notification. They can file it where they want. Some of them will say, can we have a 10% drop folder? We'll set that up. So why don't you put an important information folder instead? Because, there's a bit of positioning to be done here. But also what we're seeing is with the use of their own custom content, articles, blogs, video commentary, they're able to put context around that for the client. So, it's hard to send out a notification to a client that tells them their portfolio's dropped by 10% without them going, oh, well, hang on a minute, I'm going to pick up the phone and I want to talk to you about that. If you can put context around it, if you can have an investment manager on video giving some commentary and talking about what's happening, giving that reassurance, it makes that process much more palatable for the client and a much more comfortable experience for the wealth manager as well.
That content is an interesting one, actually. And from there are a few points I wanted to pick up, and that was from your presentation. The other two were the app and the sort of mobile element of the offering, as well as open banking, but we'll come on to those in a minute. Content is obviously something we're sort of big on. We see it as a need, but I know wealth managers are a little bit similar to using technology. Putting a CIO on video, right, is not always something they want to do. Getting content out of a research team is not always the easiest thing, especially not in client sort of centric language. Mm-hmm. Do you think firms are kind of adapting to that? Do you think it's something that's kind of first and foremost in their mind now or not?
I think they are adapting to it. What's interesting as well is it doesn't have to be a difficult process. Look at what we're doing now. We're doing a webinar. We've got people watching us. We're engaging with each other. There's not a huge production cost of this. There are so many tools out there that enable you to do it. And also we're all now used to video, aren't we? We're used to communicating this way. In fact, I almost feel rude if we don't switch our video on when we go on a conference call, whereas before we used Anonymous, didn't we? We'd just be on a conference call. You wouldn't switch the video on GoToMeeting or whatever you were using. And now, Zoom and the other apps and Teams have all changed that. So I think we're more used to that, perhaps a little bit more open to it. It doesn't have to be hugely costly. There's no big production behind it. You can very easily record a nice, friendly, personalized video on your mobile phone and push it up to your portal to as a way of communicating with your clients. And firms are producing blog posts. They are doing investment commentary. It doesn't have to be video. They are doing written stuff. They've got stuff on their websites. All of that can be channeled through portals as well. So I think it's not the first thing firms start with. in the wealth management space, firms tend to start with getting their data, their accurate portfolio data in front of their clients and getting their communications and their reporting going. And then they realize they've got all this other magic stuff in their kit bag that they can use. So they say, okay, we're engaging at our own pace. We're now ready to start delivering some more content. So for this particular group of clients, we want to issue our commentary on a particular portfolio type or whatever it happens to be, and then they'll start to evolve it, and it becomes it just becomes part of what they do.
Great. Well, it's clear that the client portal is now much more multifaceted, kind of dynamic, push-pull experience, client-led, advisor-led, business-led. You've also mentioned the app and the mobile side. So what can you tell us more about why that is, what's happening, what the industry wants there, what they may be lacking there now?
I mean, it's so important, isn't it? Because all of us have got a smartphone, and we've got dozens or hundreds, some of us, of apps on there that we're using on a day-to-day basis. If you don't have a presence for your clients on an app, I think you're at a disadvantage these days. Mobile views are great, and our stuff will work in a mobile browser. But if you've got an app, you've got your presence. It's what people are expecting and used to today to using. Branding is so important. For us, they're your clients as a wealth manager. It's your service. We're kind of the technology behind it, but we're hidden. We're not precious about that, because also brand builds trust. Clients are using the trusted advisors, they're trusted wealth managers. So it's so important that branding's good. And branding isn't just a logo in the top left-hand corner and a few colors. It's got to, branding is about how you position it. It's about your terminology. It's about your font, your colors, and your logo as well. But it's about having your app store presence. It's about the content that you're putting in there that's specific to you, so you can really make the app your own. And I can't stress how important that. And we know not just our stats, but stats all over the place, whether it's ONS or elsewhere, or the rise of mobile overtaking desktop. It's just the way that it's already gone, let alone how it will go in the future.
And you also talked about open banking. So I think open banking in wealth, maybe they call it open wealth, whatever it is, something that the market is still looking at, confused about. Similar to blockchain, right? It's new, it's to be learned. You're obviously playing there. So what are the benefits you see now to firms in engaging with whatever open banking capabilities exist?
It's a hugely positive thing, open banking, because it has, it's changed the perception of services like MoneyInfo that have been doing this for a long time. Before PSD2 regulation, we had screen scraping, and we've learned, a lot from that. So we've been able to aggregate that side of somebody's finances for a long time. But, to be able to give somebody a total view across all their finances is kind of a utopia, isn't it? It's kind of the start and end point for everything, is knowing what you've got and where it sits. Some people say high net worth people aren't interested in everyday spending. Well, they are actually. They're interested in those everyday accounts because they're managing complex families sometimes with lots of stuff going on that they want to monitor. And also, open banking is great for connecting with that next generation. If your kids are up at university, for them to have an app that helps them manage their day-to-day stuff, their student debt and their everyday finances, that's helping connect with them for the future. It is early days for open banking. Coverage isn't amazing, and things are still evolving. So it's not the primary, certainly, part of what our wealth management and advice firms are using MoneyInfo for, but it is a useful part of what they have in their kit bag. For fact finding, obviously, it's very useful. There's lots of reasons why that data is useful. But most importantly, if you think about it, wealth management firms and advice firms are in quite a unique position right now, because the industry and the FCA are putting consultation papers out about this at the moment, are talking about this concept of open wealth or open finance, where I, as a client, can bring all my data together and share it with my different advisors and relationship managers to help me and also to help them. But wealth managers and advisors are in a unique position now because they already have access to so much data about their clients that they can get, because they hold agency over those investments. They're the discretion managers for those investments. They can bring all of the kind of long-term finances that they're looking after together for the client. They can allow the client to aggregate their own personal finances, be that their banking stuff through open banking. But of course, we can also aggregate from held away accounts. If your client's got some play money in a Hargreaves account, if they've got offer some auto enrollment pensions that you don't necessarily look after. They can bring them on, they can add their property and track that through land registry. So as a wealth manager, you're in a unique position to be able to provide this open finance view for your clients today. And that's not something that everybody can do. So I guess now's the time to embrace those types of technologies, because if you think about it, your client only needs one app that does this for them, one app that looks after their financial life for them, that brings everything together, has all their paperwork, has their in case of emergency folder for their family's peace of mind in there, has all the stuff that their wealth manager's working with them on. They need one. And once you've got that on your own app store, listing, and you've got that for your clients, I think you're in a really, really strong position for the future.
Do you think wealth managers fear it more than they see it as an opportunity for the moment? Is it more about, we have a closely held relationship with our clients, it's us and them. Outsiders are kind of left out of it to some degree. They're seen as competition. Do they see it as an opportunity more than they see it as a challenge yet? Or
I think they are seeing it as an opportunity more than a challenge now. And I think that's, as I've said before, it's hugely accelerated over the last, 6 to 8 months, naturally, because of what's happened. And I think they've kind of, been pushed into doing something about it. So I think they see the opportunity of it. I don't think wealth managers should worry at all about the relationships they have with their clients, or whether, there is a threat from this. What we're doing, we're not trying to replace what advisors and wealth managers are doing. We're not trying to digitize the entire process. What we're trying to do, and what we are doing successfully, is complement the services that they're offering. I think clients will not go back totally to the way things were before. There will be much more digital communication, complementing face-to-face stuff. It won't totally replace it. But for me, it's about technology helping to automate, streamline, make us more efficient, take some of the admin out of the stuff that you do, the delivery of information, the gathering of information that clients don't value, and focus you on the conversations that you're having with those clients, whether you're in the same room with them in the future or whether you're on a video like we are. That's what it's really about. It's not a threat to what they do. It should complement and help them in what they do.
Yeah, exactly. And looking into the future, I think we talked a little bit more about more of the hybrid model. So it's about technology and human. So if historically it was largely human, paper-based, manual, but relationship-based, COVID has absolutely pushed technology to the fore because it's been an absolute necessity. And we don't know when this is all going to come to an end, but looking forward, you definitely see much more of a mix because of what's gone on of technology and human in terms of advisor-client relationships. Is there anything more you want to add to that in terms of how it's going to look, what's going to be emphasized, what firms need to have in place?
I guess we've covered most of it. I don't think things will totally go back to the way they were, as I've said. I mean, digital communication, it's here to stay, isn't it? And we've all learned and adapted to new ways of working with each other. It's got ramifications for intergenerational wealth, as I've mentioned, and how you better connect with people, and with social distancing, with quarantine, with lockdowns, with the unpredictability of what's going to be happening. And we think this is here for a while yet. Digital tools are really the only effective way to communicate with their clients, so it's critical to have it. Those firms that have a good digital experience, they're the ones that they're going to thrive. And there's been a social change in all of us as well, isn't there, in how we interact and the things that we care about. We care and value the environment. We don't want paperwork. We are communicating in different ways, and we value that communication more. I think the amount of people I've caught up with over lockdown that I wouldn't normally have seen month in, month out, that I've done video calls with, is amazing, because you suddenly value that connection, don't you, that human connection. So I think when things improve and we do resume some face-to-face work with clients, which will happen because we do value it, and it's shown by how much of a switch on the video on conference calls as well, isn't it, that we value that, seeing people and interacting with them. Digital capability will just continue to complement that, really. It's about taking the administration out, moving paper, so you can focus on that relationship, that conversation, whether you're in the same room or whether you're on a screen like we are now. So it's here to stay, but I think it's massively positive in supporting wealth management firms.
Perfect. And a final area to look at. So we know the trends, we can see the reasons to do it, we've seen the capabilities and the power, and we know that clients like it, it can work for advisors, etc., etc. So, for those financial advisors, DFMs, other wealth managers looking at this and thinking we need to move, what is it they have to consider? What kind of pieces of the puzzle do they have to have in place to then say, okay, I can work with MoneyInfo, or I can build in a client portal into my proposition?
I think you've got to know what you're in for. You've got to accept that for any new technology that you implement in your business, you've got to commit to that and put some effort into that. When us technology providers are out there giving you the snazzy demo, make sure you focus on the key things in your business that you want to solve, the key pain points that you have, the challenges that you have. Let us show you how we can help you with that. But also, for me, technology is brilliant, but it's only as good as how it's supported by the people that support it. And one of the things that I'm really proud of at MoneyInfo is how we help our firms with that adoption process, and how we hold their hand through the process on a continuous basis, and how we make sure that we get really good adoption from our clients and from the people within the firm. So accept that there's going to be some work to do, but make sure you engage at your own pace. You don't have to change, shoot the lights out overnight. You don't have to change everything. Pick some small steps and move forward with that on an incremental basis. Because technologies like MoneyInfo, of course, we're all kind of modular. We're able to switch off and configure things for you. Let us help you meet your business processes with you, and then engage at your pace. But go for it is, of course, what I'm going to say. But you have to be, you have to have that digital capability if you're going to survive moving forward. And it's not, it doesn't need to be as difficult as perhaps it has in the past. Technology's moved on. Our understanding of how to implement technologies have moved on, and firms can make a real success of it.
Great. Final question, just on sort of what those quick wins might be, what those small steps most likely are for firms. Is there sort of an industry template that says these are the things you can achieve, and how quick can that happen for a firm if they make a decision to do something?
Key things to think about is give your clients visibility over their data, and use technology like ours that helps clean up your data, because we get data from the best source and we'll manage that for you and make sure that it performs effectively. So get your client information, give them 24/7 access to it. First and foremost, look at your communications. Take your client communications off email. If there's one thing you do, take your client communications away from email and put it through a secure online experience for your clients, because it takes a massive risk away for your business. It delivers a better client experience, and it makes you far more efficient. So those two things tend to be the things that we start with. And then on there, you've got all the different bells and whistles and extra stuff that you can then start to introduce over your client time, and understand that different clients will engage differently, but you've got the technology to be able to do that. So I think those are probably the key messages from me. And from us, if you come to us as a wealth management firm, you can be up and running within 4 to 6 weeks. You'll be in and rolling out to your clients. We'll engage at your pace, depending on how you want to do it. But it's not a slow process. You can within a month or so, you can have changed the way that you're working, and you can have your clients logging into your app, and you can be sending them secure communications.
Great. Well, Tess, thank you again. Thank you for that experience, for the demo, for the conversation and the insights. It all seems pretty obvious for me, but then I'm not the buyer of this stuff. You'll know far more about what those intricacies are. But again, thank you for that. For those who are listening, thank you for tuning in. The recording of this session will be available in the next couple of hours. If you have any questions for Tess, I'm sure she'll be happy to answer them as she moves forward. And we will be distributing the recording via our website, via Bright Talk, and probably via MoneyInfo and different channels in the near future. So again, Tess, thanks very much. I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
You're very welcome, and thank you for everybody that's listened to me rambling on about technology. I hope it was insightful and interesting. And if you do want to get in touch, I would say go to our website, www.moneyinfo.com. You can book a demo with our lovely business development director, Sim, who'd be more than happy to kind of talk about your specific business and how what problems and challenges you want to solve, and how we can help you get there. So please do get in touch. We'd love to hear from you.
Great. And thank you again all, and we look forward to broadcasting again to you soon. Thank you, Tess.
Oh, thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone. Have a good afternoon.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.